Folks, what is going on? CJC presents WandA workouts and anime, and I have a very fun video for you discussing which characters should have made the cut for DLC Pack 8. Now, in case you did not watch the entirety of my previous two videos, just so you're aware, if you are attending Jump Festa this December, you can have the opportunity to play DLC Pack 8 early. That is right, you can play DLC Pack 8 as early as, I think it's December 20th, which is pretty exciting news. We obviously already know who the characters are going to be in Enel, King, and Zephyr, but I kind of wanted to make this video just to, highlight the other characters and what my thoughts on the entirety of that voting poll situation was, and who I think deserved to get on there. So we have a few categories here. Of course, deserves to be playable. Simple enough. Then we have the next one, which is a great pick. If you chose that character, I think it's a great pick. Sleeper pick, I think it's just underrated. I can go either way. Just characters I personally wouldn't vote for, that is the next tier, but I can see the argument for said character. I just personally wouldn't vote for that character. And then, of course, we have, did you seriously just waste a vote? And I feel that's pretty self-explanatory. I think this is a pretty objective category, if I'm just being honest. But we are going to go from there. So, of course, we are going to go in order, and I do apologize for how some of these images were cropped, especially Baby 5. I just found images, just uploaded them real quick just so I can make this tier list super fast. Of course, as you guys know from my previous tier lists, I do not have ad block, so of course I have some crazy ads here. With that being said, let's go ahead and get started. These characters are listed in order from the voting poll that was given to us a few months back, starting off with Sengoku. Now, I have been a very, very big supporter of Sengoku. However, if you are not caught up in the manga, I will discuss some spoilers here. Alright, he was not at God Valley. The narrator specifically states that all the strongest warriors are at God Valley, and the fact that Sengoku was not one of them, honestly, he's kind of on fraud watch for me, if I'm just being honest. Maybe a couple months ago, before God Valley, before we got to that flashback in the manga, I would have said deserves to be playable 100%, of course, because he's also a Conqueror's Haki user as well, assumingly advanced Conqueror's Haki. But just with the recent stuff in the manga, honestly, my opinion of him has dipped. So right now, for me, he's just a great pick. If you choose to pick Sengoku, that's a great pick. You have Garp's, I wouldn't even say right hand, because fucking Bogard was at God Valley and not Sengoku. So he's a great pick if you want to pick him. He has Conqueror's Haki. He already has a character model in the game. He has a transformation, which is really fun. So honestly, Sengoku is indeed a great pick. I don't think he deserves to be playable anymore. That's just my personal opinion. But I do think he's a great pick. Next up, we have Kaku. Now, when this was initially revealed to us, I did state that unless we're getting CP0 Lucci, I don't think Kaku should be a votable character. Now, we finally do have a CP0 Lucci, but given the caveat that we weren't even sure we were going to get a DLC Pack 7, let alone a DLC Pack 8, it's hard to say where I would have put Kaku initially. Now knowing that, okay, I mean, we did get a CP0 Lucci, which is probably why Kaku was votable in the first place. I don't think he deserves to be playable. That's just me. I love some more world government representation. So for me personally, I do think he would be a great pick. You could argue he would be a sleeper pick. But I personally would just have him as a great pick. Really great to have alongside Rob Lucci for more CP agents or playable agents in the game. I don't think he deserves to be playable. That's just my personal opinion, so he is a great pick for me. Then we have Sentomaru. Personally, Sentomaru is not a character I would vote for. That is me personally. I can understand if you would vote for him. That's perfectly fine. That's perfectly reasonable. I think there's a lot of interesting abilities he can utilize, like control over the pacifistas and things of that nature, and with his advanced armament utilizations with his great defense, a lot of counter moves. So I can see the argument for him, but personally I just would vote for Sentomaru, but no hate. Then we have Green Bull. Now I personally would probably put Green Bull either second to Sengoku or first. I definitely think he deserves to be playable. Again, his stocks really hurt with his showing on Wano and of course at the Reverie, so it's really hard for me to want to put him as deserves to be playable. I think there's a lot of cool stuff you could do with Green Bull, giving him his tree transformation and stuff like that, seeing how he would navigate through the map. Perhaps he does leave like flowers and stuff like that as you are dashing through the map. I think that would be really cool to see, similar to how awesome they gave Lucci's dash with the CP0 version. So a lot of cool stuff that they could possibly do here. I personally would just have him as a great pick. You can argue deserves to be playable, but I think he's a great pick for now. And then once we get towards the end of the tier list, if I just have too many great picks, then we'll shift some things around. Next up we have S-Hawk. I think S-Hawk would be more of a sleeper pick for me. Again, I think S-Hawk, now that we know that S-Snake was going to be in the game, in hindsight, it's like, cool, great. I personally would prefer to see someone else, but that's why I'm going to have S-Hawk as a sleeper pick, because I think it would be really awesome to have another Seraphim alongside S-Snake, and one without a very weird costume. So that's why S-Hawk is going to be a sleeper pick for me. Next up, we have the female category, so that was the world government category. Again, we will probably maneuver some things around. I think in hindsight, I'd probably put Kaku as a sleeper pick. Again, this is in hindsight, knowing now that we have CP0 Lucci, probably more of a sleeper pick. You know what? Actually, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. First up, we have Vivi and Karoo. I think that is quite objective. I don't really think you can necessarily argue with me there in the fact that I don't think it's a good vote for Vivi. I really don't. Look, if you're a fan of Vivi, first off, I understand we definitely need more female representation in just One Piece in general, and in One Piece Pirate Warriors 4, but I don't think Vivi's it, like, at all. You know what I mean? Like, think of it this way. All the DLC characters up to this point, minimum, are B rank in terms of the overall game. They are B rank, right? So taking that into consideration, I don't want to pay for a character who realistically might be at the bottom of the barrel. That's just me being completely honest. Like, a lot of these other characters have great potential. So for Vivi to be voted on for, that's you're just wasting your vote. It could have went to someone else, like maybe Ulti, you know what I mean? And I'm not an Ulti fan, and we'll get to her when we get to her. But I personally think Vivi is just a waste of a vote. Shouldn't have even been on the list, if I'm just being quite honest. So if you voted for Vivi, hey, good for you. I personally feel like you wasted a vote. That's just me. Next up, we have Perona. So Perona was in Pirate Warriors 3, did not make the transition over into Pirate Warriors 4. Now, in terms of characters in the overall scheme, I'm not sure if she is in the deserves to be playable category. What I will say, I definitely have her as more of a sleeper pick, right? She can be a technique type with the ghosts, and there's a lot of cool stuff that you can do. So we see what Bartholomew does, and I fucking hate that character, but you can see like the rage baiting and his status ailments that he inflicts on enemies. We can see something similar applied through Perona. So I think Perona is a sleeper pick, really good option. Underrated option to be voted for. Next up, we have Monet, a character I personally wouldn't vote for. We kind of already have someone with ice abilities in the game, of course, in Kuzan, but of course she's snow, right? And then of course being another sky type character, not sure how well she'll play. So with that being said, it's not a character I personally would vote for. That's just my personal opinion. Koala is next. Again, another character I personally wouldn't vote for because to me it would be like a female Jinbei. I do believe that we should be getting more Revolutionary Army characters, and she would be the next best option outside of Kuma, I guess. I definitely think we should be getting Kuma first before Koala. So if we do get Kuma, then I'd be happy to add Koala, perhaps as a sleeper pick, just so we can get more representation for the Revolutionary Army characters. But for me personally, I personally wouldn't waste a vote on Koala. That's just my personal opinion. Next up is Baby 5, and with Baby 5's arsenal, quite frankly, she is a great pick. I would say sleeper pick, but I think she is honestly just a great pick with the versatility of her weapons and how like destructive she can actually be. If you guys ever played Gundam Musou, right, she can literally be one of, like, you can take any archetype from Gundam Musou build and then just bring it over to One Piece Pirate Warriors 4. I think that would be super fun to play as. So honestly, she would be a great pick and maybe, quite frankly, the verge of being playable. That's just my personal opinion, just from a gameplay standpoint. Character-wise, I think would be more of a sleeper pick than anything else. But just considering the whole package, I think she would be a great pick and is going to sit on the top of the leaderboard for great picks. And next up, we have Scratchman Apoo. Honestly, character I wouldn't necessarily vote for. Definitely the most undesirable, I had to think of the word, the most undesirable character out of the worst generation. At least you would get an additional outfit, and same thing with Perona, right? You would get the pre-time skip, post-time skip. Same thing with Scratchman Apoo, where we saw a different outfit for him when he was at Sapodi Archipelago. And then of course his outfit at Wano. Look, just a character I really wouldn't vote for at all. That's just my personal opinion on that. I fucking hate Apoo in general. So yeah, there is that. Next up we have Kyoshiro, aka Denjiro. Personally, did you seriously just fucking waste a vote? Again, we haven't seen much from Denjiro. I personally think in terms of the samurai that are in the game, like Kienmon and Okiku, I would like to see Inurashi or Nekomamushi before we see Denjiro / Kyoshiro. So I personally think it's just a waste of a vote when it comes to him. Next up we have King. King 100%. That's my king right there. Deserves to be playable. Queen, of course, deserves to be playable. These two characters were at the top of my list when it comes to deserves to be playable. Kaido needs his other commanders to be in the game, not just Jack and fucking Hawkins. So I definitely think these two should be in the game. Of course, we already know that King will be in DLC Pack 8, which I am genuinely super excited to see. Queen unfortunately did not make the cuts, but I definitely think Queen definitely deserves to be playable. What I would have liked to have seen if both of these characters got in, is an update towards Zoro and an update towards Sanji. Next up, we have Ulti. Again, a character I wouldn't pick. Definitely, I would pick, if I had to choose, I would pick her over Apoo. Again, more female representation. Clash with Luffy a little bit, and then of course you can have some interesting dynamic to her abilities with her Zoan fruit. I just personally wouldn't vote for Ulti. Just not that much appeal in my personal opinion. I'd probably put her at the top of this list. Again, just because she does have interesting abilities. Just not a character I would personally vote for. Next up, we have Shiki. 110% deserves to be playable. I would probably put him here on this list, 100%. I love the movie villains, and I don't think Shiki has been playable at all in the Pirate Warriors series. Not even in the last game, or was he even in Burning Blood? I don't even think so either. So having him playable on console for the first time would have been really awesome to see. And then of course you could have potentially added some story stuff with him, but perhaps that's for a different discussion. Would have loved to have seen him in the game, so I definitely think he deserved to be playable. Zephyr. Now, of course, he did make the cuts. He is going to be a playable character in DLC Pack 8, but my opinion on him, I'd have him up here. Now, where specifically, I was debating on putting him as a great pick, but I think that might be the next option that comes up. But I definitely think Zephyr definitely deserves to be up here. 100% I agree with the fans voting him in for getting in the game, so it's really awesome to see, and I'm excited to see how his gameplay is, and what that's possibly going to look like during Jump Festa, because, I mean, they have the characters ready. We'll see if any modders have potentially hack the game and, we get early showcase, but you'll be able to see what he looks like come next month. Next up is Tesoro. I would have him as a great pick, definitely behind Baby 5. Again, he could probably be a unique technique type, turning his enemies into gold, and then those who have a gold touch, you can bring those enemies towards you with the triangle or Y button. So there's definitely some options and utility that you can use that will make him a fantastic technique type. And then of course you have his transformation. If they give him the transformation, it could just be an ultimate move, but we'll see. I'd say we'll see, but we could have seen, I guess. Bullet is next, and 100% Bullet definitely deserves to be on here. Former Roger Pirates, allegedly. We don't know if that's true. Although he was drawn in the manga, so I'm not sure if that was necessarily him specifically, or if it was someone else in his likeness. But, of course, another Conquer Hockey user. Definitely could be a speed type, so I'm 100% a fan of Conquer Hockey users in the game, and more representation of them. So I think it would have been really cool to see what he would look like playing. And then would they give him that transformation of him inside that giant robot thing, or again would that just be an ultimate move? Hard to tell, but we'll go from there. Enel. Enel. This is really tough because, of course, like I said, he deserves to be playable. He got voted into DLC Pack 8, but honestly, I would personally put him as a sleeper pick. That's just me personally. I would have loved to see these characters more than Enel, because we already got Enel in a previous game. I want to see new blood in the game. Now, mind you, I have been clamoring for Kuma, of course, when he already was in a previous game, but we get to see new stuff from Kuma, and we got more information from Kuma, where Enel has been the same for the longest time. So, me personally, I would put him as a sleeper pick, and maybe on the verge of characters I just wouldn't vote for, just due to the fact that he was already in a previous game. Next up, we have Foxy. Foxy's tough, man. Foxy's very tough. And I do want to make a quick change before I discuss Foxy. We're just fucking putting Apoo here. We're putting Vivi right here. Definitely at the bottom of the barrel, because no way you voted for Vivi. Again, Foxy's probably a character I just would not vote for. I think really interesting ideas that you can do with Foxy. I just personally would not waste my vote for that character. I can see the argument for Foxy. I think that'd be really cool to see, but again, just not a character I would personally vote for. Next up, we have Moria. Honestly, Moria is a great pick. And here's why. The number one reason I say that is because the information that we know about Moria now in the manga is the fact that he was a Kozuki. He was related to Odin. The fact that he went back to Wano to fight Kaido was so he had an opportunity to free his land. Taking that into consideration, Moria, or rather Kozuki Moria, is a great pick. I would have loved to seen his interactions with Kienmon, with Odin, with Kaido, with Luffy. Does he thank Luffy for freeing Wano? I would love to see all of that, all those interactions. I think would be really fun to see. With past villains or past characters that have been in the game, I would normally maybe put them sleeper picking below. But with Moria, I would have loved to seen what his dialogue would have been with Okiku, with Kienmon, and these other characters. It would have been really awesome to see. And then, last but not least, we have Magellan. Again, I don't think for past characters they need to go above sleeper pick, so I would put Magellan as a sleeper pick. Definitely above Perona. And I think this is pretty good. Again, Magellan just being a past villain here, or past playable character as well, I personally would not put him in the game. That's just my personal opinion, of course. But let's recap and see all the characters I voted for. So, deserves to be playable 100%, King, Shiki, Queen, Zephyr, Bullet. 2 Conquer Hockey users in the top 5 that I have here for deserves to be playable. Queen would have been really interesting to see. Zephyr, more world government representation, kind of, sort of, since he went rogue. And then, of course, we have King here. Again, Kaido's right-hand man. Really nice to see him in the game. Especially considering 2 out of the 5 characters I chose here are actually going to be playable. So we have great picks here. Baby 5, I think, would be really cool to see how you can utilize her weapon manipulation. Moria, just for more of the character interactions with Odin, Kienmon, Okiku. Does he thank Luffy for freeing Wano? So on and so forth. Tesoro could have been really interesting as a technique type. Sengoku, I used to have deserves to be playable, but he is on fraud watch right now. And then Green Bull is just Green Bull, another Admiral. We finally get the Admirals, but Green Bull would have been a really nice caveat only if Akainu gets his Fleet Admiral outfit. That's all I'm saying for that. Sleeper picks. We have S-Hawk. Now that we know S-Snake is in the game, perhaps another Seraphim to have in the game would have been really nice to pair off with. Magellan, just a past villain and a past playable character. I'm sorry, that's what I typically mean. A past playable character. I don't want to see that. I want to see new blood, especially if they have new material. Unlike Kuma, where yes, Kuma was a playable character in the past, but he does... What the fuck? Why am I just noticing this ad? Fucking yo, dude. What the fuck? That threw me off. Anyway, same argument with Perona. Again, just a past character, nothing new. Kaku would have been really interesting to see now that we know that CP0 Lucci's in the game. Seeing his CP0 version would have been super cool. And then Enel, again, same argument as Perona and Magellan. Characters I wouldn't vote for, Ulti could be interesting. Sentomaru, meh. Monet, another potential sky type, which is kind of pretty ass in this game for the most part. Koala could just be a human Jinbei, and then Foxy is just Foxy, you know what I mean? And then, of course, we have, did you seriously just waste a vote? Kyoshiro Denjiro, whatever the fuck his name is, didn't really do shit outside of fucking slice Orochi and then fucking get angry. Alright, Apoo, a poo-poo, a piece of shit, not really worth it. And then Vivi, are you fucking serious? I know in the comment section I've discussed this with Vivi fans. Not ashamed. I'm not ashamed to admit the fact that Vivi is a horrible choice. But with that being said, I will see you in the comment section below and in the next video. Let me know who you would have in your tier list. Who would you have at the bottom of the tier? What characters? Do you disagree? Do you agree with what I had to say? Please let me know in the comment section below, and I will see you in the next video. Peace.